Hello, hello. How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you doing this morning?
I am so great. I'm so excited you decided to join us. Can you
Well,
hear me okay? See me okay?
I
Good.
can. Yes. Yes. How about the other way around?
Absolutely.
Good.
Well, I certainly want to introduce you and all the above, but I like to start off the interview because I think it gives us, if we were going to pull the curtain back or peel the onion or looking glass, who Deborah is. If there was a song that you chose that's like, yeah, it might be my theme song to life, what would that song be?
Oh my gosh. I love that question. And I know everybody has to react the same way that I do. And before I tell you, I have three sons. I have a one that's good. My youngest will be 18 next week. I have an 18, a 20, and a 22-year-old.
Oh,
So
wow.
for giggles, I text them and said, hey, ask them the question, what would you put as my song? First of all, you should never ask boys that age that question. The stuff I got back, I was like, no, I mean, their music, half of it, I'm like, that's so inappropriate. I mean, my son, one of my sons was like, you should say Killer Queen by
Yeah.
Queen. Like, it made for a lot of humor around our house. So thank you. And I've also decided I'm going to incorporate it in my interview questions. So fabulous. So thank you for that.
You're
Um,
welcome.
so the song that I'm gonna pick, I really was tempted to pick more than one, as is my nature to want to have choices, but I really tried to pick one. And so the one that I chose is a song by Rascal Flatts, and it's called Stan. And it's a song back from the early 2000s. And the reason that I picked it is really the life that I'm living today and where I am today, relationally, spiritually, business wise, every aspect of my life really came out of a season that song really was actually what I was living. And the chorus says this, it says, when push comes to shove, you taste all that you're made of. You might bend till you break because it's all you can take. But when that happens on your knees, you look up, you decide you're going to get strong, you've had enough, you wipe your hands, you shake it off, then you stand. And really, that is, if you knew my whole story, that was really true about me in every area of my life. About 15 years ago, well, more like 18 years ago now. And the life I'm living now is a direct result of doing those activities literally multiple times.
Perfect, perfect. Well, I want you to introduce yourself, but I don't want to leave that for a second. I want to understand why you see that. And one of the things I like to do in these interviews, Deborah, is I'm looking for the nuggets of success traits. Like, hey, this is how she thinks, or this is how what she does. And these are success traits, right?
Okay.
And I'm wondering how you see that perspective as a success trait for you. Why is that? I'm meeting you today, but obviously there was a journey you took way before you got to today. Why is
Yeah.
that a success trait?
So, because there was a season in my life that everything that I thought was the foundation of my life was ripped out from underneath me. And I became a single mom at 28 years old with a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 12-week-old, and three precious boys. And the circumstances around which me becoming a single mom and the end of my marriage were extremely traumatic and very prolonged. And it ended up touching every aspect of my life. And I remember literally, really for the first time in my life, understanding that going forward on the path that I had chosen or that I thought I was developing in my life was no longer an option. It was almost like a concrete wall had come down in my life, and that's basically what it was. It was that life I was creating was no longer an option. I either got to go, I could not go anywhere, or I could go left, or I could go right, but going straight was not an option. And as I wrestled through that, I realized, first of all, just like the song says, it's my opportunity to really just get mad and know that I might bend, I'm not going to break, but then I'm going to get off my knees, I'm going to stand up, I'm going to shake it off, and I'm going to start going in a direction. and I'm going to allow my life and a new opportunity and a new life to begin to unfold. And I was not going to just stand still. And that whole theme is central to me in my relationships, in my second marriage, in raising my children, in being a stepmom, in my business. I'm not going to stand still. Sometimes we don't get to go forward. We get to go left or right, but we're going to go.
Yeah, I love it. All right. So who is Deborah? Well, obviously, you're a rock star. You've got this big team down in Lafayette, Louisiana, right?
Yes.
And tell us who we're meeting today, and then we'll go backwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am just me.
Yep.
Just me.
I'm going to ask you to brag and tell us numbers.
No, I know. This question will probably be the hardest one for me. I'm just a girl who was raised. Really, I like to tell everybody, it's really kind of silly. I really had almost like a little Pollyanna childhood, just really strong family, strong values, just things woven into me that I have relied on my whole life. And did the college thing, and right out of college, got married, started having kids, worked, all the things. And I tell everybody, just like I started this conversation out, everything changed in my world at 28 years old. And I began to understand over the next couple of years that I could create the life that I wanted. And it took me a while to get there. And I moved from Birmingham, Alabama, which is where I was, back to Lafayette, Louisiana, which is where I was raised. I thought it was just going to be for a hot second while I regrouped. And I ended up creating a life here. And everything that I did, every job that I had, I got into nonprofit fundraising. I have a degree in communications. And every job that I had before real estate prepared me for exactly what I'm doing right now. Being a single mom also really prepared me, because if you're a single mom, every single mom has an underlying quality, and it's called grit. And you just have to get it. If you didn't have it before, once you become a single mom, you just get it. And that has brought me to where I am today, raising my 3 sons. So I have 3 amazing sons. I have 3 bonus daughters. And ended up getting into real estate really because my spouse was already in real estate. And my nonprofit job, I was a regional director for a national nonprofit. And after breaking every record in this tiny market, we were competing with the Atlantas and the Birminghams and the Jacksonvilles. And after breaking all these records, this is what they said to me: congratulations, you get a $2,000 raise. And by the way, the bonus that you were supposed to earn that we promised you, which was way more than $2,000, because your sister groups in Baton Rouge and New Orleans didn't hit their goal, we're not going to give you the bonus either. And I remember calling my spouse. I know, right? And I was like, this is not, he's like, you're done today. Get in your car. He was teaching, actually, he was attending a business planning clinic in Baton Rouge. He said, get in your car and come on. And that's it. And I started real estate full time a week later, and never looked back.
All right, so what year was that?
Let's see. My first year in real estate was the end of 2014. And I started my team in the end of 2015. So just my second year in the business.
Okay. So I need you to brag for a minute, or humbly share what were your numbers, your success in 2021?
In 2021, we did almost 300, well, a little bit over 300 units. We did 2.2 million in GCI, which is a lot of units for that GCI. Lafayette has a notoriously low average sales price. And we're the number 1 team in our area across all brokerages, the number 2 team in the state of Louisiana, the number 4 team in our region. We got to compete with those beach teams down in Destin and Panama City, but I'm chasing them pretty well.
So number 1 team in your area, number 2 team in Louisiana, and number 4 team in the region.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay. So obviously your team with 300 units creates 2.2 million in GCI. So there's a whole lot to be said about the success of units versus volume and commission sometimes, because
Right,
we tend to measure everybody by a gross commission income number. But the
right,
reality is the unit number is actually a better measure. Nobody just likes to use it, right? Because
right.
it's not the take it to the bank number.
Exactly.
However, 300 units doesn't happen by accident.
It does not. And as we grew and developed the organization, we knew that we were going to have to be unit heavy in order to accomplish big goals. And I really made a decision, I guess really maybe about 2 years ago, that I was just going to stop squawking about everybody else in the country's high average sales price. I remember a conversation I had with Josh Anderson in Nashville several years ago, and he's like, good luck. How are you even going to do it with an average sales price in the 200s? And I just finally said, wait a minute, this is where I live, and somebody's going to do it. So why not me? We were the first team to gross $1 million. I was the first agent to make $1 million in our area. We set these records, and it's there's people doing it all around the country. We just happen to be the first one in our area, and we're just the first. We're not the last. We're just going out there and showing that it can be done in our area. But yes, being unit driven, it's a different type of organization, because you got to have a lot of support to support that many units.
Well, but I think it's an interesting perspective, and it's certainly a success trait, right? Like, if it's going to happen, why not me?
Right.
And to you, it was a sales prize. To somebody else, it could be something totally different, right?
Absolutely.
It starts with mindset.
Yes.
And what I'm learning really quickly about you is your mindset is really strong. And it probably goes back to the single mom thing at 28 and the grit and all that stuff. But, you know, we call it the big why. And I think everybody thinks it's this shining North Star that says this is what it is. But
right.
At the end of the day, it's that internal driver, that internal motivation. And I used to always say nobody has a stronger drive than that single mom that kisses her kids goodbye on the way to the bus to school and has to go make it happen. And obviously I'm speaking to somebody in context that, and I can't even fathom to understand. I can only attempt to. But at the end of the day, what's your understanding of your internal motivation, and how does that connect the dots for us to your success you experienced today?
That's a really great question. I think that just an understanding that I think I just learned young that life is a journey, and it's not always going to fall into place exactly how we think it is. However, it is going to fall into place exactly how it's supposed to. And my heart and my mind and my big why has expanded so much over the past several years in the fact that, yes, for a long time, I loved accomplishing the awards or the achievements or the rankings. Those are great outward testimonies of what we're doing. But along the way, I realized that I wanted to bring a bunch of people with me. And because I feel so grateful and honored, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity. And so I wanted to begin to create that opportunity for so many other people. And that in and of itself is a success trait that allows me to keep going, even when it gets really hard or really scary. Or I look up again and we're like, wait a minute, everybody's telling us we can't do this. Is this the time they're right? You know, and it has helped solidify that inside of me to keep going.
Awesome. So you like having the team. You like, you know, somebody asked me one time, they said, are you a river or a reservoir? And I went, what do you mean? He said, are you taking people along the journey with you like a river and helping people's lives get better, which I see in you? Yes. Or are you a reservoir that just kind of stagnant and closed border and just trying to keep it all inside? And, and it makes sense.
And that's a really great question. And by the way, we need both.
Yeah.
Both are important. And I just realized really quickly in this business that if I had to do it by myself, I could do it by myself. I proved that in my first 2 years. I had tremendous success. I just wasn't going to have any fun. And, I'm the oldest of 5 kids. I'm used to leading people. I'm used to, being in a group. My husband and I have together 6 kids. I have 3 and he has 3. And I'm just used to being in a group. And I just knew that if I couldn't do it with other people, I wasn't going to stay in this industry. I would have stayed in for a couple years, hit these goals of achievement and then gotten bored and moved on. And so I decided I wanted to bring other people with me. And I tell everybody this, if what I've created on my team existed in my community when I was looking for it, I would not have started my team. I would have just joined that organization, but it didn't exist. So I had to go create it. I also knew I wanted to be around people who were mission minded, who wanted to be a part of something greater than themselves, and then who also were excellent in their craft. That's one of our key tenets on our team, is that we are excellent at our profession. And I wanted to be around other like-minded people.
Got it. I'm going to come back to that here in a little bit. When the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book was written, if you look at all the test cases or the interviews in the back, the average number of time it took somebody to get to that million status was like 18 years. And I'm hearing you say you started in 2014. We're only 7 years into this, right?
Yes.
Your team's only 6 years into this.
Correct.
When did you break $1 million for the first time?
Year 5.
Okay.
Year 5. And what do we know from Gary Keller and from all of our teachings at Keller Williams? We underestimate what we can do in 5 years and we overestimate what we can do in a year. And I remember year 3 of the team, and it was hard. I was failing forward, failing backwards, and failing sideways. Like, it was just, I look back now and I'm like, I don't even know how people said yes to this craziness, because we just literally, I just refused to quit. And I just was like, we're going to figure it out. It was just this kind of thing, as we've talked about already. And I just know this. When I started the organization, I began to daydream and think about $1 million and the organization grossing $1 million. Because what I knew is that when the organization grossed $1 million, yes, I might be making really good money, but I would have people in my organization making really good money. And I'm super proud of the fact that everybody in my organization with an average sales price in the 200s, unless it is their first year of real estate and they're learning, everybody makes north of 6 figures, and strong 6 figures. I don't mean like 110,000. And I've got people making multiple 6 figures on our team. And, so I began to think about in that very first year about grossing $1 million. And then somewhere along the way, I saw the pyramid, and it's think $1 million, think $1 million, receive $1 million. Wait, no, think $1 million, gross $1 million, receive $1 million, net $1 million, give $1 million.
Right.
I'm like, oh, we're just going to do that. So that's what we're doing. It took me 5 years to gross $1 million. It took me 2 years after that to get, to have $1 million to, for the organization. In 2 more years, we'll net $1 million. And 2 years after that, the goal is to give $1 million.
Yeah, but why is that pyramid? Why did it speak to you?
I think because it was simple, concise, and it doesn't end. And I begin, this is a journey. There's no end game. And I want to, as long as my Heavenly Father gives me the opportunity to continue to fill this space and to be here, I want to keep going and growing. It's a dream in my heart. It's a passion of mine, and I don't want to stop. And yet this pyramid, which, thank you for putting that up on the screen, allowed me to be able to articulate it and visualize it and do it. It just kind of put it all into perspective for me.
There's this irony of the pyramid, right? Or the mountaintop or whatever. And what I'm hearing you say, the buzzwords I'm hearing you say is, you said, I daydreamed, or I had this vision, I could see it, and I was just clawing my way to the top. And all of a sudden I just was given a roadmap of how to get there. Right?
Yeah, I don't know that I would use the word claw my way to the top, but I hope
Okay.
that that's not true. I mean, because to me, that means I had to take somebody else out, which I believe I believe there's room for all of us. That I definitely daydreamed about it, and I could see it years before it happened. And in year 3 and 4 of my business, where you're just like grinding and it's not easy, and you're developing systems, and I was learning to be a leader at this capacity, and I was learning to hire the right people, and I'm doubling down in my investment in the business, and I'm living on peanuts. I'm living so below what my 1099 said that I was making, because I was pouring into the business. I was like, year 5. Everybody says get to year 5. It takes 5 years to build a big business. And by the way, they're right. And then it's like this hockey stick, it's the swoosh at the top. It's just going now. It's just growing and in a way that is so beyond even really what I thought it was going to do at the beginning. And now I know, well, gosh, if I can think $1 million, then I can earn $1 million, right? We can gross $1 million. If I can gross $1 million, I can make $1 million. Great, we did that. We can net $1 million, and then we're going to give it. If we can do this, we can do that. We just need time, people, and systems. That's all we need.
All the way back to the nonprofit, huh?
That time, people, and systems. That's right.
There you go. Okay. So maybe clawing's the wrong word. Maybe your grit, your grind, your
there we go.
That's probably a better word. Okay. But forgive me for that.
No, that's okay.
Wipe it all away today. How would you recreate it in 5 years? What would you do?
Matter of fact, I say that actually, even in my, we have a saying here among all of us on the team, like, somebody will walk in and say, that's it, I quit. I mean, like, I'm done. And I'm like, okay, great, go home, just show back up tomorrow. So I have quit this team, this business, this whole career multiple times. I just happened to show up the next day after I quit. If it all got wiped out, and I would start it over. First of all, I would start it over because I'm a builder and a grower by nature. That is who I am. Even if it was in a different industry, I would just start growing something else.
Or expansion, you go to a different location, right?
Right. I would just do it all over again. I would even be more on the model than I was. And I was pretty good about the model, but I would be even more on the model. And I think that I would trust the hiring process much quicker than I did. It took me a while to trust that I knew what to look for in people. It took me a while to be able to articulate what are the characteristics of a Red Star team member. It took me a while to really lean into that and get really good at that. And I would not be afraid to hire up quicker. I would do that.
What do you mean by that? Hire up?
Fell apart, I would do that. That's what I would do. What
do you mean by you wouldn't be afraid to hire up quicker?
Okay, so a lot of us, and I have experienced this multiple times, we may be hiring, we think, to a characteristic or quality. We may be following our model, but we're afraid to hire talent equal or greater than ourselves. Because not only is that going to cost us money, right? We're going to have somebody basically with their hands in our back going, hey, listen, we're moving, like, you better go. And it really takes a tremendous amount of letting go of ego, of the need to be the smartest person at the table, of the need to constantly be in control, the need to always be the one on top. And that definitely has been a journey for me. And by the way, I'm still in it. I mean, myself and my COO literally had a conversation about this 2 days ago. It is a constant process, but I would trust that earlier in my business, because I would probably have double the business that I do today if I would have done that.
Sure. And here's what I love about what you're saying is, I always talk about the concept of going from good to great, right? And we're meeting great, Deborah, today, but that we should all recognize that you took a journey, right? Like, it wasn't always perfect, and it's probably not perfect now. And
oh gosh,
who did you become on this journey?
Oh my gosh, I probably could talk for hours on this. I'm just, in so many ways, I'm such a different person, and in so many ways, I'm exactly the same. It just, my core nature is the same. I just believe in people. I believe as humans and as a Christ follower, we are made to be in relationship with other people. We're made to see the best in people. We're made to consider other people more than ourselves. So that's a core tenet of mine. But we're just, oh gosh, it's just that's a hard question. I just think that you're gonna have to help me out with this one.
No, I'm thinking like if you're looking back at Deborah as a leader, an early leader in 2015 or 2016 with the team versus how you would handle something today, you probably learned some skill sets or poise, if you will, over the journey.
Okay, thank you. That's more clarity for me. That makes me feel like I'm not bragging about myself. I think that I've learned how to, I think I'm a better listener. Although there's people in my organization that definitely think I still need to work on that, and I do. Okay. I think I'm a better listener. I think I'm a much better collaborator. I think I'm a much better celebrator of people. And I think somewhere along the line, I really began to believe what people always told me is that investing in people is your best ROI. And somewhere along the line, I began to actually believe that and actually put that in practice. And I'm super proud. We have very little turnover on our team. We've got top producing agents in their own right in our organization. And I believe it's because our culture and our people matter so much to me. I do not, this is a great practical example. Every year, our local market center does a top producer breakfast to celebrate the top producers in the company. And, I've had my seat at that table at different places. I get to sit at the number one spot for right now, not for forever, since year one. And that means nothing to me now. How I gauge success now is how many of my team members are in that room with me. And, by the way, it's an anomaly for Rainmakers to have people on their team in that room. And I've got multiples of them. And I think somewhere along the way, I just really began to buy into people and understood that it's my job to pour into them. If I'm not putting them first, and it's about their goals, their mission, their values, what's important to them, then at the end of the day, I'm not creating anything. We're just a group of agents doing transactions together. And that wasn't going to work for me.
Yeah, so that luncheon, of course, it's fun to get recognized and people like to get awards, but at the end of the day, you're looking around as a leader going, I'm developing people's lives and helping them develop their lives, and you get to see it, and that's fun.
I do. I'm watching people, the way they parent change. I'm watching marriages flourish. I'm watching, the net worth of people on our team is just increasing rapidly. Team members are buying investment properties for the first time, the second time, the fifth time, the 10th time. We're just, all of our lives, and that is a core tenet to be in our organization. You must be on a path of growth, a trajectory of growth in all areas of your life. That has to be important to you to come into our organization. And we're seeing that come to fruition after planting and cultivating that mindset and really growing it and living by it,
Right. And I'm hearing you use language like core tenets and values and mission minded. And one of the things that I understand about the best of the best is they find that clarity around the DNA of what their organization really is. Mm-hmm. And you made mention, you said early, and this kind of goes back to who'd you become? You weren't really clear on who a Red Star team member was in the beginning, but you sound very clear now on who they are.
Very.
Who, what's that clarity now?
That clarity just came because I just was hiring people and they weren't a right fit, or, just all these things. It created so much up and down. And I remember it was in 2017, and that we had the beginning of this story is actually very sad. We had a team leader in our state get killed in a car accident. Oh, wow. And which is devastating and shocking to us all. And we were at the funeral, and another team leader, we were together afterwards. she said, if you had 6 months to live and you knew you had 6 months to live, what would be in your life and what wouldn't? And there were lots of things that really came out of that question for me over the next couple of weeks as I sat with that and I sat with that loss and that question. But one of the things business-wise that came out of there is that it was time. Until then, and I will tell you, namely because my husband is also in this industry and he's a big personality and has so much success in his own right in our region. I just wanted to kind of be under the radar and like just do my thing over here while we grew it. So that way, if it was a failure, nobody would notice. And we're just going to kind of be under over here. And that's not how God has wired me to be. And what solidified from that season in 2017 was it was time for me to step up and step into the leadership that was inside me. And the agents that had said yes, and our admin staff that had said yes to our organization, one of the reasons they said yes is because I was the leader. And every day that I didn't lead with purpose, passion, purpose, and drive, which are our key words, I was actually failing them. And from that season over the next year, probably year and a half, these core tenets began to solidify in my mind. And when I was meeting with agents, I kept using the same words over and over again when we were attracting talent. And so it just came down to 5 things. If you want to be on the Red Star team, these 5 things must already be demonstrating in your life. Now, it's going to show up differently for different people, personalities, age, all the things, right? But you must be already on a growth trajectory for your life. You must be extremely coachable. I hired my first coach 5 months into this business. No, excuse me, 7 months in the business, my first assistant 5 months into this business. And I have had a coach, and my coaches have been extreme, like Adam Hergenrother is my coach right now, if that tells you anything. Like, I am serious and passionate about being coached. If somebody in our organization does not feel the same way, they're not going to be happy here. You also have to thrive in a group. You have to want to be a part of something bigger than yourself and be able to be fully a success in your own right, but under this umbrella of this organization, knowing that together we're all a part of something that we can never accomplish on our own, myself included, by the way. You also have to have extreme self-accountability, and you have to be memorably likable. We have to like who we go to work with.
Yes.
So those are and as we got really clear on those 5 things, it's really amazing how it weeds out and who we are able to attract now.
Well, the stronger a culture is, it attracts more and it detracts others, right?
Right. That's exactly, and both are good.
All right. So if Adam's your coach, he wrote a book called The Force Multiplier. So I should ask you, who's your force multiplier?
I have the most amazing, and I'm probably going to cry, force multiplier. And it took me almost a year and a half to find her. I really, at the beginning of the process, thought that it was going to be somebody was going to be raised up inside my organization. And then that became really clear that I was going to need to go outside of the organization for this force multiplier. And her name is Catherine, and Catherine Weaver. And listen, this woman is an amazing dynamo in her own right. Our stories, our lives were so woven together in so many ways from our ancillary people in our lives that we had never met. Her dad actually gave me one of my first jobs when I was 16. Oh, wow. So it's crazy. Our moms know each other, and it's crazy. And, it took me a long time to find her, and it took me a long time to be ready to work with her. And I had to grow into the kind of leader that was worthy to have somebody of her caliber and her talent and her passion in my world. And immediately my world changed. See, when you hire talent that is better than you, and she is better than me, it doesn't diminish me. Everything just scales faster. Everything escalates faster. Everything just begins to come together. And one of the best compliments I feel like we've gotten, I think she would say the same thing, is we had somebody ask us after we had been working together only about 90 days, say, how many years have the two of y'all been working together? And we were like, 90 days. Yeah. And the person we were meeting with was floored. She's like, y'all act like y'all been together forever. And she's changed my world, and she's going to continue to change my world, our
Love it.
whole world.
All right. Thank you for sharing that, because I think one of the things that most people don't really understand early in business and figure it out later in life is almost every highly successful person has a right hand that you may or may not even know who they are, see them, but
Yeah.
they're there, and they're just as crucial, if not 10 times more crucial, in making the whole thing go around.
Oh,
Yeah.
she from day one, I was so amazed at how she became the backbone really so quickly. And we're so similar. We're both very successful, driven, ambitious women, but our hearts are the same. We're aligned in our morals, our values, our those kinds of things. And we're even though we're on the disc profile, we're both high D's, high I's, it shows up in radically different ways. And so it's just a good compliment. You know, we have growing pains while we learn to be high-powered women.
Called relationships, right?
Yes, that's
All
right.
right. So talk to me about business for a minute. How do you think of when I say the word market share, what does Deborah think about the word market share?
I think that anybody can take market share. Somebody's going to get it. Why not the Red Star team in my area? First of all, I firmly believe, and my team firmly believes, that if you don't work with the Red Star team, you're actually not working with the team that can help you the most. Like, we at our core believe that we are the right people to help people. Market share is something that we talk about. We talk about taking it. We talk about, you know, listen, we all had great years last year. Did we have great years because we took market share? Or did we have great years because the market was good and it helped our average sales price go up? But did we really take market share? Because when that market shifts, those that are focused on market share and units and their systems and the models are the ones that are going to be able to scoop that up.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I think of when I think of market share.
So
and
let me give you a context. We talked about that triangle earlier, and the three words around that triangle are leads and listings and leverage. And to some people, when we talk about market share, they think it's just listings, but I actually think leverage and leads plays a big role in that. How, you know, everybody wants to focus on low inventory, and that's the real estate market we're in today. And it's really a negative perspective, not a take control of my own reality perspective. How do you think about market share in the current environment with the context of leads, listings, and leverage?
I love that. Thank you for asking me that. First of all, let me say this about market share. Top producers and agents who are serious about their craft, it doesn't matter what the market is doing. We just execute. The difference between a top producer and what we would say maybe an average agent is not that the top producer is better. A lot of times we're actually less talented. We just understand that we just have to execute, and we just execute better and more focused and on purpose. So maybe somebody on this Zoom needs to say, what do I need to execute on today?
Yeah. First
and foremost, we talk about this a lot. We do not let the market dictate this team's success. We do what we do no matter what the market is.
Perfect. So execute, I'd throw in the word activity, right? Execute means you got to go do something.
That's right.
What are we doing?
That's right. So what we're doing on our team is, and we listings, leverage, and leads. Okay, so what are we doing about all of those things? We are a high listing team. Our team is very balanced. We're about 55, 45, 55 listings, 45 buyers. And by the way, I'm just going to put this out there. I think buyers and buyers agents are, yes, the listings are how we can take that market share. But I want us to all remember that it's buyers agents who sell houses.
Well, they're 50% of the business in a balanced business, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and the listing agents love to stand up and say, hey, we're taking territory and we're all that, which I'm a primary listing agent, so I get it. I love it. But remember, and we should all treat those buyers agents with respect, and we need to help them get the commission that they're due because they're the ones selling our houses. So I just want to give that little soapbox there real quick. Our leads, so leads are important. And we understand that is also a value proposition. And because we are a team and because we do have so much success, we've got lots of resources. And I think as we continue to grow throughout this year and some things begin to balance out and people realize, oh, wait, this whole real estate thing may be a little bit more of a challenge than I thought it was. He who has the leads is going to begin and or continue to take market share. And so we make sure that we're utilizing our lead pool and where our business is coming from, and we're maximizing that. Yeah. And then of course, leverage.
So 55% of 300 units is 165 seller sides. That's a lot of listings, Deborah.
Yeah. This year we'll do.
What kind of agent are you? Like, what are your top 3 lead sources? Where's the business coming from?
Yeah, and we know exactly, we track this, which by the way, if you want to run a business, you've got to know your numbers and you better be tracking. So our top 3 lead sources are our past clients. We have over 1,200 of them now. Our sphere of influence. Agent to agent referrals are a huge part of our team's business. Those are our 3. And then we say the other part of our 4-legged stool is a combination of leads generated through our CRM, as well as social media / open houses. And that's kind of, we'll see this year which one really rises to the top. Yeah.
So are you a TikTok star?
Not. Well, we just hired a brand new social media director, and his #1 goal is to get me on TikTok. So we'll see. I guess stay tuned.
Well, I think today's day and age of real estate, people think they have to be a TikTok star to be successful in real estate. And I think you would make a strong case to argue against that, right?
Yep, that's right. That's right. And listen, who knows? I may become a TikTok star. I'm open to anything.
Could be, right?
To have that openness, but that isn't what we have not built our business in my organization on the newest fads. What we do is get really clear about what we're really good at, and we continue to double down on that. And we know that our sphere, we know that our past clients, and we know agent to agent referrals make up over 82% of our business every year. And so, and I think that number's right. Catherine's on this Zoom, so if I'm wrong, she's probably texting me already. I believe that it's 80-something%. So let me just.
For agent to agent referrals.
Yes. Okay. And so we take really good care of our clients. We have client events. We are known as their real estate resource for life. We use that kind of verbiage. And so we just make sure that we honor and take care of the relationships that we've already worked so hard to cultivate. And I think that sometimes we're so busy trying to innovate, which is important. We all have to be willing to innovate or we're going to be left behind. But I think sometimes we can be so busy chasing every shiny penny that we just really don't do the things that really are what helped us be successful in the first place. We stop doing them, or we don't ever take the time to cultivate that.
So if I'm a past client, or I'm a person in your sphere of influence, what does my experience with your team look like on an annual basis?
Yeah. So you're getting things in the mail from us. You're getting emails from us. You're getting calls. You're being invited to 2 through 4, depending on what we're doing. And COVID obviously has changed a lot of that. We're coming out of that. Client events. If you refer people to us, you come to, I'm here in South Louisiana. We love crawfish. We have crawfish boils. So you get to come to a crawfish boil every year that is only for people who give us referrals, not even our past clients. You're getting gifts throughout the year. You're getting market analysis. And we're calling to check on you. We're involved with you when your kid graduates. We're involved with you when you're, I just sponsored one of our top referrals and past clients. Her daughter's on the dance team. And they happened to send me a request for a sponsorship, which was a small sponsorship. We were happy to say yes to that. That was just a no-brainer for us to support this family and this local school, which is right in our #1 zip code, and say yes to that. So we're just involved in their lives. And I'm pouring into my agents the same way as best I can, always learning and growing in this area and empowering them to pour into their top clients also.
Perfect. So at the end of the day, peel the onion back. You run an incredible relationship-based business, and you built this on tried and true methods. And you're plussing it with innovation, not necessarily building it on innovation, is what I'm hearing. Is that correct? So it's a little bit of that triangle, build the foundation and put creativity on top of it.
Yeah, I tell everybody I'm really not that smart. I just do what the people ahead of me have done. And then I've done that since day one. My goal my first year was to sell 5 million in volume, which has turned out to be about 36 houses at that, my average sales price at that time and in our market. So I went and knocked on the door of the agents that sold that many houses or more. And I just was like, what do you do? And it didn't matter what they told me. I just went and did it. I didn't argue with it. I didn't tell them they were wrong. They were doing it. And you know, and listen, I'm the same way with my coach today. I mean, listen, the first time I got on the call with Adam, I'm like shaking, you know, right? It's Adam Hergenrother. And I just listened to, and when he says, Deb, when I was here, this is what I did. I just do it. And then once we get the model down, then I can be creative with it for how it integrates into my organization.
Perfect. And you execute better than everybody else. You focus on being excellent, right? I'm using your words, not mine. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think you take action, and that's why you're sitting on this Zoom. That's why you're sitting at the top of the leaderboard, because I don't think you're doing anything super special that nobody else could replicate, right? Like
I'm not, which is always when I get invited to do things like, yeah. I'm always like, am I supposed to come up with this like amazing thing? But here's the deal. We all have the MREA in front of us. We all have the tools. Most of us are just not willing to do them daily, year after year. Yeah. And that's what I've done. And that's what my team does. We're just willing to do the boring stuff day after day after day. And what that turns into is a lot of success.
I met somebody the other day that said their word for 2022 was boring. No way.
I love that.
You didn't understand it, but now that you understand it in your context, that's a great word, right?
No, I totally get it, because lead generation is boring. I mean, you know, and listen, my lead generation is still key to me. Now I'm lead generating for talent now, necessarily not listings and buyers, but those things are mundane. But isn't that true for us in all of life? Listen, life is made up of the mundane. It's just our pop culture that tells us it's one big adventure from the next. We do have adventures, we do have exciting things, but there's nothing exciting about getting up and washing dishes or doing my teenage boy's laundry, which he does on his own most part, but there's nothing exciting about those things. And yet that's part of the fabric of weaving a whole life. And when we get okay with just the kind of boring things of life, whether in our business, our spiritual lives, our personal lives, our relationships, we actually thrive and create a beautiful life and a beautiful business.
Yeah. How do you maintain work-life balance? You're a wife, you're a mother of 3 boys and a stepmom to 3 girls. How do you maintain it all?
Well, I'm really at the season of my life. I only have 1 child left at home, but when I started, everybody was at home. I think 4 of the 6 were still at home. You know, first of all, here's where I'm going to give my spouse like unbelievable props. First of all, he was a single dad for a lot of years, and so listen, he's much as gonna go and do the dishes and do the laundry as much as I will. So I have unbelievable support in my life from my marriage partner, and that is huge. And he cooks, which is a huge, I tell everybody, this is a huge reason
especially
why
in Cajun country, I'm sure.
Exactly. And to be clear, a huge reason why I married him. Like I do not even make any bones about that. He's a fabulous cook. But I think that when we begin to understand that it's not always going to be in balance, there's going to be times that my family has to come first. There's times that maybe we're escalating in our business and the business needs my attention. But I think the more we can be clear around our schedule, our calendar, making sure we're still putting the things that are super important to us and important to our families on that, we can have success in both. And I believe that you can have success in both. And I believe that I'm an example of that. I also am not afraid to get leverage at home. I know what I make per hour, and I'm not afraid to leverage anything out. And I think a lot of people, women especially, sometimes we can struggle with that. And these roles that or these rules and roles and ideas that we put in our own minds. And I just like to blow that up and say that's how I do it. I have lots of leverage, lots of help, a very supportive spouse, and a clear understanding. I'll give you a great example. My last son's a senior, and he's in the middle of basketball season. Everybody in my world knows that right now, from November to March, my number one priority is Drew's basketball. So everything else has to come around that. I don't care what listing I have to miss. I don't care what interview I have to. Everything comes around that. And then when that season's done, I know that I've got to come back over here, and that we're going to make this a priority for a while. It's a great example.
I love it. Love it. Crystal ball, what's the future?
Future of Red Star Team or future of real estate?
No, let's stay real estate first.
Okay.
Where's our industry going in your perspective?
Well, there's so many more people who are so much wiser about this than me. I'm definitely not an industry guru. However, I will just say what I observe is I think we're going to continue to see real estate move to the escalation of teams and groups. This business is not, as a solo agent, literally, you can only do so much. And you can only deliver so much value. And I think we're going to continue to see the escalation of solo agents joining teams. We're going to see teams joining national teams. I think we're just going to continue to see that. Because listen, even at my level, I mean, you know, if somebody's knocking on my door and they can help me get to where I want to go faster, quicker, more money in my pocket, more money in my agent's pocket with more fun, I'd be silly not to talk to them. And so I just think we're going to continue to see the evolution of that.
Perfect. Perfect. You and I are going to jump on a Zoom call 5 years from now on February 4th, 2026. Who am I going to meet on that call?
Oh, Lord. Okay. First of all, I'm gonna be getting old. Wow. I think in a lot of ways you're gonna meet the same person that's sitting right here now. I just might have a few more gray hairs and I won't have braces anymore. I just, you know, one of the most powerful things about being in my 40s is just the solidifying of who I am, what I bring to the table, what I don't bring to the table, and just, especially as my kids leave the house and that parenting phase begins to come to an end, there's just a freedom that's beginning to come into my life that I'm really anticipating. So it's really going to be interesting to see how that plays out in my life. I will still be involved in real estate. It won't be in the capacity that I am right now. The Red Star team will be in multiple locations. We're going to have other ancillary businesses attached to us. I'll probably be doing much more coaching and teaching. But I don't know where I'm going to be based. I don't think it'll necessarily look the same as it does now, but and I'm excited about the future because my spouse and I have only known marriage, parenting 6 children. So so we're so excited about this next season as we experience empty nest. So I don't know, stay tuned.
I'm probably going to see a lot of pictures with blue backgrounds somewhere.
Yes,
I'm sure.
yes,
so,
yes. Well, Italy is our reward. We have 6 kids between us, so 1 week in Italy for each kid that we graduated, and we made it through them being a teenager, and everybody is still alive and thriving today. So that's going to be our first reward.
Perfect. What do you think is the question I should have asked you that we would glean so much about who you are from your answer?
I was surprised that you didn't ask me if I just had any advice.
That's my last question, but we can
go. Okay. I think, no, I mean, I think that you've asked a lot of questions. I think that what I hope has come across today is just a couple things. Like if I could leave a couple things with people, it's don't be afraid to follow the model. I promise you the model works. Don't be afraid to keep going. It is scary sometimes, but to keep going, even though you're afraid, don't let being afraid stop you. There's so many things that I still do with the sweat trickling down my back. I just do it anyway. So don't be afraid to do that. Invest in people. If you're not willing to pour into people and lead them and guide them and care about what's happening to them, do not start a team. Just go be a rock star solo agent with some admin, maybe a 4th level organization, but don't start a team. Because really it's so much about pouring into people, and they have to come first. And that is so important to understand that if you're going to grow a big business through people. There's plenty of other businesses that you grow that are not people dependent, and people are my passion. So that's a huge deal for me.
Love it. Love it. So is that your advice?
No, actually, well, I
want to hear your advice. Leave us with your best piece of advice.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. This is where I have 3. 1, do not despise small beginnings was a piece of advice that my dad gave me a long time ago. Do not despise small beginnings. Everything that you're doing today, everything that you're experiencing today is building the foundation for what is tomorrow. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in this business on bigger numbers, and it's a very outwardly flashy reward system in our business. And yet I think that we just sometimes minimize how we're changing the world, one client at a time, one person at the time, when we show up with our best version of ourselves. This is how the world gets changed. And so don't despise small beginnings. Number 2, this too shall pass. Nothing is going to stay the same. So if you're in a season of joy, embrace it. If you're in a season of hurt or loneliness, it's not going to always be that way. If you're in a season of just kind of boringness and nothing, you're kind of like, where am I going? That's not going to stay either. This too shall pass. All of it, the good, the bad, the ugly. So don't get overly attached to any of it. And then I guess my 3rd piece is more about people. My mom gave me this piece of advice, who's the most fabulous leader I know. She led an organization with hundreds of people. She said this: if you're not willing to pour into them, make them the priority, teach and train them, and give them the best version of yourself, you're just using them for the transactions you're bringing to your company.
Oh, wow. Say that again.
That was a mic.
Say it again.
That was a mic drop.
Say it again.
If you're not willing to pour into, make them more important, give them the best of your leadership, and make them the priority, then all you're doing is using people and using them to bring transactions to your organization.
That should be on your billboard. And you got to stand, like Rascal Flatts said, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
There you go. Deborah, thank you for your time.
You're most welcome. Thank you for the invitation. This has been a lot of fun, Brett. I really appreciate the opportunity.